Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program 2, where we are currently trying to bring this down to the surface. Full disclosure, this is probably my 12th time attempting to record this episode. We keep running into bugs, and there's already one here. It's baked into the save at this point, and there's nothing I can do about it for now. But you can see there's a little bit missing here. I have no idea where it went. At this point, it definitely shouldn't be missing. Judging by the fact that this is offset here, I'm guessing there was a Kraken at some point that I didn't notice, and this just ceased to exist. So we're going to have to replace this once we get to the surface. But let's get this down to the surface first. That's mission number 1. So we're going to advance here. We need to bring this over to retrograde. I was burning horizontally, but we need to get this to retrograde, and we're about to re-enter. So let's pull our solar panel back in. Okay, so now we need to get to surface retrograde here, and let's just start braking. We don't want to overshoot this, if we can at all help it. There we go, and we'll just park it right about there. Perfect. So I had to manually brake that because the SAS tries to overshoot it significantly. As you can see, we did still overshoot it a little bit, but it's not a huge overshoot. So that's good. We want to be burning as horizontally as we can because we are getting kind of close to the shoreline over here, but it's not terribly close. We're almost certainly going to land in the Explodium at this point. So the next major event at this point is we're going to lose attitude at about 48 kilometers. You may be able to tell that I've done this a few times. We have run into so many bugs. So many bugs. So we're just going to let this come on down here. We're going to lose attitude at about 48 kilometers. And once we do that, as long as we're traveling below somewhere around 1,200 meters per second, we're not going to have significant heating issues. So that should be absolutely fine. 1,200 appears to be around the sweet spot for this re-entry. So that seems great. We're going to be very pleased with that, and then we just need to get this down to the surface. Oh, one thing I forgot to do. We need to grab these chutes. If the game will let me select it. Hello, KSP2? You okay? Yeah, there we go. We need to grab these chutes, and we could raise up their minimum pressure and deploy altitude. Actually, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to leave that be, because we had a very long drop in my previous attempt at this, which ended up breaking when I attempted to teleport this back to Kerbal to replace this. We successfully landed, but the game just completely broke, and it was not great. That's for sure. Like, the entire ship just shattered and ceased to exist. So KSP2 is really struggling with what we're asking it to do here. No doubt about that. The good news is, if we can just get through this landing and takeoff procedure, it should be smooth sailing from here on out, because the vast majority of the parts will be gone by then. And KSP2 will have far fewer issues at that point. So that's good. We're definitely going to need to, once we get this on the surface, teleport this to Kerbal and bring up a new one, because we need to replace this. It crackened out at some point. What are we going to do? Well, we're going to replace it, is the answer. So we're just doing huge amounts of bug fixing, and basically every moment of my life for the past, 6 hours has been putting out KSP2 caused bug fires. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to be sad when this series ends, when this mission is completed. To be clear, if there's another mission beyond this one, I don't know that we're going to do it. I'll decide at that point, but I really hope this is the last mission, or at least that the next mission beyond this is not particularly complicated. If it's not particularly complicated, if there are any more, which there may or may not be, but if it's not particularly complicated, then fine. We'll do it. But something like this, no, we're not going to do that. This mission is so close to over at this point. So that's wonderful. All we need to do from here is get this back into orbit. So that is all fine. But we just need to touch down and then take back off in order to complete the mission, which should be fine as long as we, well, even with replacing it, it should be fine, I think. We've had to replace this a number of times already due to Krakens, and this is just one more at this point. So that's absolutely A-okay. We're currently traveling at 1370 meters per second, and we are 52 kilometers up. So we've got about 2 kilometers here before our attitude loss. We will see a significant speed reduction shortly before the attitude loss. And once the attitude loss starts getting out of control, we should be traveling at about 1200 meters per second at that point, based on previous runs. But KSP2 is always different. Every time you run it, it goes different. The physics are extremely non-deterministic, which you might say is a good thing, you also might say is a bad thing. We'll see. I also had an issue in a previous run where our wings, when we attempted to lift off, weren't generating lift. Like, there was just no lift. I don't know why. It was very weird. But whatever. As you can see here, we are currently down below 1300 meters per second. We are beginning to lose attitude, so I'm attempting to compensate for that to hold as long as possible and continue to burn here. But we're going to lose attitude pretty much no matter what. There's no way that we don't lose attitude, although this is a little lower and a little slower than I normally would have expected the attitude to be lost. So that's a good thing. Okay, so we're traveling below 1200 meters per second as we lose attitude here. I'm going to cut the throttle now. And as we come around to prograde, I'm going to pause it. Right now. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to eject these. They're no longer useful. We're going slowly enough at this point that we don't need their drag, but they're causing us huge amounts of instability at this level of the atmosphere. So we need to decouple all of this. And the huge amount of drag that it has will cause it to go this direction. So it should be completely safe to do here. I've done this a bunch of times. So off it goes. Eventually, as soon as the game gets caught up. And yeah, they start immediately blowing themselves up because they're colliding with each other because they were clipped together. And that's absolutely expected. Did we just lose something down over here? It doesn't really matter if we did, but no, we didn't. Okay. Noted. So we're trying to bring ourselves back around to retrograde. I'm going to light up our engines here to slow us down that little bit more as we are around retrograde. We're going to cut the engines as soon as we dip below the horizon here, like that. And we just need to try to settle at retrograde and burn the rest of this. And we're just going to halt about here and then tumble back eventually. This is a little different. Apparently we're settling at prograde this time. Nope, we're flipping again. Okay, that's good. We actually want to be flipping again. I'm keeping an eye on our heat gauges. It's these two that are dangerous. I want to start burning now and slow us down as much as possible. Now we should be able to get into position to hold at the retrograde marker. You can see we're slowing down. We are below 1,000 meters per second now. We definitely see some problems with our heat gauge. What are we losing here? Okay, that was our heat shields unloading, I'm pretty sure. Or just exploding, one or the other. But you can see here we're holding attitude close-ish to the retrograde marker. And we're able to get closer and closer. So we're in a good position here. I'm able to do this consistently at this point. So that is a very good sign. And we can see that these heat gauges are starting to go away. As I said, it is these two that are the most dangerous. So for now, this is looking good. We're just going to burn here until we are out of propellant. If we stopped burning, are we accelerating or decelerating? We're accelerating. Okay, continue to burn then. So I want to slow down for a while here. And that'll be fine. We're then going to activate our chutes. As soon as these are off, I'm going to go ahead and activate the chutes now. So we're going to arm these, but they're going to be deployed in safe mode, so that'll be fine. They won't deploy until they are safe. We're going to go ahead and arm them. And the moment it is safe, they should deploy. Okay, so that's all done. And we're going to run out of fuel very shortly here. There we go. We see our flight lines turning on here. Excellent. We're out of fuel now, and we're just going to hold here. Note how our surface speed is going down still, even though we're out of fuel. I love it. That is absolutely perfect. So what's our trajectory look like? That is absolutely going to be in the water. Well, the explodium. So that is exactly what we're looking for. As expected, we pretty much knew that that was going to be the case because I've done this so many times trying to fix bugs, but here we are. Okay, let's try warping down for now. I'm going to leave the SAS on for the moment until we see chutes. Once we see chutes, we're going to need to do something about that. Okay, so we're still slowing down here. We're down to about 400 meters per second. 350. Down to about 300 meters per second. We should be seeing those chutes momentarily. Let's go out of warp for the time being. Where are those chutes at? Still considered unsafe. Okay. Well, we'll let this continue to drop for a little bit here. They should be coming up momentarily. Anytime now. Well, actually, maybe not, because we know that we are going to fall a little bit further because I did not raise up the chutes there. There they go. Okay, so there goes the chutes, and we're going to slow down a little bit here, but we're going to wait until they fully deploy. So that looks good for now. So once they fully deploy, we're going to get rid of these guys, but I'm going to spin us up a little bit. So let's spin this way. Okay, so with us spun up, we're going to deploy this. The reason I wanted to spin us up is I want to have particular momentum here so that these get flung away from us instead of towards us. So now we're going to unpause that. And there we go. So that's a nice clean detach. If we didn't do that, we run about 40% risk of these engines being destroyed. So that's absolutely fine. No problem whatsoever there. So we're continuing to head on down here, and we can see that we are kind of flipping a bit, which is interesting. Like, we're switching over towards more level flight, but we should be seeing these chutes deploying very, very shortly. So that looks good. And we can see the shorelines over there. So no problem whatsoever on our trajectory here. And all of those parts should go away quite soon, and that will significantly improve our frame rate. There's the drogues deploying and slowing us down that little bit more. I'm now going to turn the SAS off And we're just going to let ourselves sit wherever we're aerodynamically stable. Okay. I would like to consider yawing us over this direction a bit. Or at least pitching us over. Okay. So pitching downward here. Because I'd like to steer us over towards this 90-degree marker, is the idea. Okay, something kind of akin to this. And now I want to be nosing down, but we're going to wait until we are a little closer to the ground. Okay, let's try to do that now, but we're going to be fighting against the chutes here. I'm keeping an eye on our electric charge, but the electric charge doesn't actually matter. So I want to be pointing towards that 90-degree angle to get us into a prograde equatorial orbit. That'll require the least amount of DV to get into. I have no idea how we're going to do this once we are bringing in the replacement. That'll be very interesting. So we're just bringing this on down. And we're just trying to get to a position. Okay, I'm going to turn the SAS off for the moment. We're just trying to get to a position where when we come down, we're going to go in the 90-degree angle. That's the ideal. Or at least be straight up and angled correctly to head over towards 90. Okay, so something kind of like this, right? We're going to let the chutes go away. And you can see that we are currently... Are we sinking right now? Or are we going to float with this? I think we're going to sink. Well, we're out of electric charge for now. So let's just let this be for the moment. And eventually these chutes are going to auto-cut because the game will register us as being on the ground. I think I'm going to try taking off with this, but I'm going to quick save first. We know that we're missing a fuel tank, so we're going to see if this ends up working. Let's go ahead and fire up our engines. And let's see if this works. So we just want to head over towards the 90-degree marker here and accelerate ourselves on up in this direction. Okay. Now I want to be pulling upwards. Okay. So we're about here right now, and I want to be about here. Or thereabouts. So we're going to try to prevent this bouncing from happening. And we need to try to take off at this time. So we don't want to get too high up. We also don't want to get too low here. Everything just fell apart. Okay, so that can happen. I'm not too concerned about it. We know that we wanted to bring a replacement out here anyway. I have no idea why that falls apart, but sometimes it does. And it's completely unpredictable whether it'll happen or not. So what we're going to do is we are going to bring a replacement out, and let's put this here. We're going to recover our Kerbals, and then we're going to untrack that other vehicle. It just sometimes completely breaks. No way to predict it. But we were in a pretty decent angle there, and if we could get a little bit of speed built up, we would be able to take off in a 90-degree direction, which would be ideal. So we're going to try to set that up for our replacement vehicle. And... let's see. This vehicle is apparently recoverable. We are traveling towards the surface. We're underwater here. Okay, sure. I have no idea how far it is to the surface. I'm trying to zoom out a bit. It's apparently a ways. Okay. Let's try this at like 500 meter altitude. 800? 1200. This is very deep. Wow. Okay, this is too high. So 2 kilometers here. We are about 600 meters below sea level. Okay. We'll do it at 2,500. And there we go. Now we can recover this. As soon as we finish bouncing, anyway. Hello? There we go. Back to the KSC we go, and we're going to untrack the other vehicle there. So that's fine. So we're going to go over to Eve, and apparently it doesn't exist. It must have gotten krakened. Okay. Well, that's fine. We're going to go into the VAB. No, I don't want to revert. I just want to go to the VAB. And we're going to load this in. We're going to load it in the state it would be on the ground. Because, yeah, sometimes it just randomly falls apart, and other times we can impact that water at way higher velocities and be fine. So, yeah. We're going to load this guy in, and we're going to disassemble it to the point where it should be. Okay, so let's get this loaded in. Any moment now. There we go. And let's take these side boosters off. It's the vectors that cause the vast majority of the issue. So if we... That is not what I wanted to grab. Undo. That's going to break the struts, isn't it? We're going to have to reload it. Okay. Performance is exciting. I've been at this for way too long today, and eventually this will be back. Yeah, the struts are broken, so we're going to have to reload this. This is a very finished game. So we'll just load this guy back in, and this time I'm going to select the correct object. That would be helpful. Ugh, I just looked at the clock. I've been at this for a really long time today. So many issues. So many issues. So this is going to get reloaded here in a moment, and there we go. In theory. Yes. I see the struts. Okay. So now we're going to grab this over here as soon as the game lets me do stuff. This. There we go. That is the correct object. Get rid of it. Now we're going to come down here, and we're going to select this. Get rid of that. There we go. And we're going to get rid of this, and we're going to get rid of this. So this is the vehicle in the state that it should be. We're going to need to fill it with Kerbals. There we go. We're going to put it out on the pad. Okay. So now we're going to need to take this thing off, right? But that's probably going to end up being a next episode thing. For now, let's just put this over onto Eve. So surface of Eve. This is going to be way too high. Maybe like 200. And I already scoped out this longitude as being a decent one to simulate where we were. It's not perfect, but it's fairly close. Okay, so this is a little too low. We need to be at, like, maybe 400 for the altitude. This is a little too high. We'll try 350. Yes, this is perfect. So now our issue is that we are rotated the wrong way. So how can we go about changing that? That's an interesting question, actually. There's not really a way to change that. The only way to do it would be to put another thing here and change our orientation that way. So I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to hop back to the KSC. We can't go to the VAB directly, but we can go to the KSC. It's in a dangerous state. No, it's not, but whatever. It's fine here. See? It's fine. I guess we can see if we can roll this. Because we're facing the wrong direction to pitch it as we want, right? And rolling it isn't really working. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to go to the KSC, but it's still claiming we're in a dangerous state, and we're really not. So we're going to have to attempt to do this, I think, a slightly different way. Alternatively, we could just save it here and come back to it. It is time to put a cut in here, and I've been at this for a really long time, and I'm honestly a little frustrated, but we're in a reasonable position here to come at this next episode, I feel like. And, this guy shouldn't exist. Let's just do that quick. There we go. That'll be fine. And from here, we're going to want to maneuver ourselves over to being at that 90-degree angle. So that'll be interesting. We'll have to see how we want to do that, but that'll be a job for tomorrow. I need a break. So it's time to put a cut in here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And next episode, we'll get this over somehow to the 90-degree angle marker where we were able to get it previously on the previous vehicle. And this mission will be over soon, and I'm very glad about that. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Atala, Ali Lee, Dark Horse Xenocyte, Upper Cumberland Gamers, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, The Lounge STL, Kentogan, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.